You know that resentment weighs heavy. It's real-time mourning, there's no avoiding it. The pain is palpable, constant. You live in a cycle. The other person disappears, reappears, promises doesn't fulfill, and you wait, justify, believe, stay. There's no secret here. There's a pattern that repeats, a silent wear. You can call it love, but it's a disguised dependency. The bond remains because you insist, not because it's strong, but because you haven't decided to end it. When someone loves, they act. When someone cares, they invest. The rest is just an echo of empty promises. Now, you struggle to understand the lack, and this attempt holds you even more. If you have to struggle not to lose, you've already lost. If you have to share your attention with silence, you are already in the background. You are not trapped. You are paralyzed. And stopping is a choice. The harsh truth is this: your suffering is not a sign of love, but an indicator of excessive giving. As long as you remain available, everything will stay as it is. For the other person, there is no more time or dialogue. You need to decide if you will continue paying the price for something that isn't reciprocated. There is no happy ending in cycles like this. There is only the certainty that you can stop, and that decision doesn't come alone. The reality has already been presented. You know that the illusion of control is seductive, believing that you can change someone, that you can keep the bond alive with just your expectations. But in practice, this only feeds frustration. You become a passive spectator in your own life, waiting for something to change. You get lost in unfulfilled promises. The reality is harsh. Time doesn't heal, it merely delays the pain. And deep down, you understand this. Reconciliation never comes. The other simply doesn't see value in returning what they receive. The pattern reaffirms itself. You cling to hope while the other looks away. It's like living in an eternal echo. The words repeat themselves, but the gestures are absent. You live in the expectation that one day everything will align. That a gesture, a word, or a sudden change will take you out of this vicious cycle. But what happens most often? The other returns, makes promises, and you, in turn, do what you know how to do. Wait, justify, believe. Each return is a new opportunity that you give, and each opportunity is another blow to your self-esteem. Meanwhile, life goes on. You forget about yourself. What you desire, what you need, takes a back seat. You become a supporting character in your own story, looking at the other while your identity slowly fades. Your priorities become secondary. What you want dissipates like smoke in the wind. And yet, you persist. Why? Because the fear of the unknown is paralyzing. What will come when this phase ends? An abyss? Loneliness? This uncertainty becomes an anchor, a weight that prevents any movement. The question remains, what are you really afraid of? Being alone or facing the truth that you already know? The truth is that staying in a vicious cycle is more comfortable than exposing yourself to the potential suffering that accompanies a rupture. Each moment of silence turns into a deafening scream. You constantly ask yourself if it's worth it, if this constant struggle, this emotional wear and tear, will bring any return. And the problem is that you forget to ask, how much is your peace worth? How much is the freedom to be who you are without invisible chains worth? You are trapped in the illusion that there is still something to be won, but time is not an ally. It's a silent thief. It steals smiles, energy, and even your dreams. It takes away moments you could live fully, but you choose to stay. Sometimes you wonder if a sorry could change everything, but sorry doesn't pay high prices. And when you finally realize the cost, you see that the bill extends far beyond the material. It touches your essence, your relationships, and your ability to love. Love shouldn't be burdensome. It shouldn't demand constant sacrifices and unanswered questions. Love is lightness, it's exchange, it's respect. And what you're experiencing resembles more a burden, a weight that by choice you carry. You can look into the other's eyes and see only the reflection of your own insecurities. There is a mask that covers reality. But you know that behind it there is no true love, only the maintenance of a state you tolerate. And what does that say about you, about your choices? You are accepting crumbs, a spoonful of affection in exchange for your mental sanity. There comes a moment when you must question, how long will you accept this unfair exchange? How long will you allow yourself to be the support of someone who doesn't hold up anything? This is not a matter of love, but of emotional survival, and the decision is yours. Stay or leave. Leaving isn't easy, it's painful, but the pain of change is temporary. The pain of stagnation is a daily burden. You know that, we all know that. The difference lies in the courage to face what needs to be faced. The truth is before you. It's not comfortable, but it's real. You have the ability to redefine your future, to put a full stop where there has always been an uncertain ellipsis. The time has come to stop rationalizing the lack. The weight of expectations doesn't have to be yours. The freedom to live, yes. The reality has already been presented. You also know that living in someone else's shadow is suffocating. That empty space becomes an invisible prison where the walls are built by unfulfilled promises and unrealistic expectations. What you consider love turns into a painful routine. You observe and wonder, where is the reciprocity? The little things that once made you smile are now shadows of affection that no longer exist. The laughs turned into silences, the hugs into distances. You are surrounded by a presence that is not a presence, a ghost that merely haunts your sanity. The other does not see the pain, does not notice the weariness. And you in turn remain silent, because speaking would mean opening the box that has been kept for so long. This box full of unspoken feelings, of accumulated frustrations, but you do not dare to open it. The fear of what might come out of it is greater than the desire to break free. And so you live this internal battle. Memories that were once sweet are now bitter. What was a refuge has become an emotional battlefield. Each interaction is a new opportunity to get hurt. Each poorly chosen word, each absent gesture, is a reminder that the connection has slowly dissolved. The other's gaze turned away. You ignore it, but your hands feel the coldness of the distance. This indifference becomes a weight that you carry daily, a burden that seems to grow with each new day. It's as if you are stuck in an incessant cycle of repetition, like a scratched record playing the same tragic song over and over. It is painful to realize that no matter how hard you try, it will never be enough. Each act of affection you offer comes back to you as a devastating echo. It is life telling you that things will not change, no matter your efforts. The harsh reality is that you are fighting against a wall, and this wall refuses to give way. You try to remember how it was before, when things flowed, when smiles were genuine. But those moments have become distant memories, buried under an avalanche of disillusionment. The days go by, and you find yourself looking out the window, wishing to see something different, some change. But what you see is just the same landscape, an endless repetition. Meanwhile, life goes on. Opportunities slip through your fingers like water. Your essence dissolves. What once made you vibrate is now just a memory. You realize you are losing yourself in a sea of uncertainties, while the other does nothing. And this reality weighs heavily. The sensation of helplessness is paralyzing. You tell yourself that everything will change, that one day he will notice. However, the truth is that while you are trapped in this cycle, the other continues living. He follows his path while you remain stagnant. It's a choice that shouldn't be yours, but one you've accepted as inevitable. But despite the pain, you start to notice a spark, an idea that change doesn't come from the other, but from within yourself. The decision doesn't have to be about them, but about you. And that is liberating. You have the ability to rewrite your story, to transform these moments of sadness into learning. If facing loneliness is the price, so be it, because loneliness can be a space to rediscover yourself, to breathe without someone else's burden, to rediscover what really matters, and that requires courage. Courage to leave behind what no longer serves, courage to put yourself first. The weight of expectations doesn't have to be yours. You can finally claim your space. Life is much more than being in the background. It's about embracing your essence. It's about giving yourself permission to be happy on your own, without needing the validation of another. When you take that step, something changes. The light that once seemed distant begins to shine again. It's not a magical light, but the light of reality that shines in the truth of your choices. You will realize that the freedom to live fully is your right, that leaving behind a relationship without reciprocity is an act of self-love. Love should not be a burden. It should be light. It should flow. When you understand this, the world opens up before you. The narrow alleys of dependence begin to widen, making room for true connection, one that respects boundaries and nurtures souls. You have always had the ability to decide. Now the time to act has come. The vicious cycle will break, the echo of promises will be silenced, and you will finally hear the voice that has always been inside you, ready to take the next step. Reality has already been presented. The choices are now yours. You realize that each step out of the cycle comes at a price. The feeling of loss is intense. What was familiar now sounds like a distant echo, almost a blurry memory. The voices that once offered you comfort now sound like murmurs of a life that no longer belongs to you. Nights are particularly challenging. Silence transforms into a battlefield where thoughts and emotions collide. You remember the conversations, the plans, the moments that made you smile. And now, what is left? Only shadows and deafening silences. Loneliness weighs like an invisible pillar. You think of all those moments you decided to ignore. How far will you go to maintain the illusion of control? It's as if you have been living a performance, a role that no longer brings you pleasure. Laughter has turned into a mask and anguish into your true face. And now, you wonder, what does it really mean to be alone? What happens when you remove yourself from this dynamic? You fear that the void will intensify, but perhaps it is this void that allows new possibilities to blossom. In darkness, one can find a new light. The search for a meaning that has always been before you, but that you never had the courage to face. The love you desired, that you always aspired to, seems so distant and almost unattainable while you continue to question what went wrong. If it weren't a matter of love, it would be a matter of necessity, of attachment. Your feet, standing in the same place, start to feel the weight of the journey. With each passing day, you realize that unmade decisions accumulate. They are like stones you carry on your back, and they start to hurt. More than memories hurt, the unexperienced moments hurt, the adventures you could have embraced, the genuine smiles you could have shared. The taste of what could have been wears away. You watch others allowing themselves to live while you remain stuck. How did this become acceptable? You allowed yourself so much that the line between love and sacrifice blurred. Now it's time to rewrite this narrative. The fear of rejection dissolves into a drop of courage. You realize that staying there, wrapped in empty promises, is a form of refusing to fully live. The cost is now as clear as daylight. Your life, your dreams, your choices. They cannot depend on another to exist. It's strange but liberating. You begin to understand that love doesn't have to be a burden. It can be light, it can flow, and that doesn't mean you have to give up on yourself. In that first moment of decision, you feel the adrenaline surge. It's like a new breath of air enters your lungs, as if you can finally breathe. You face the mirror and see a version of yourself that you hadn't seen in a long time. A person who deserves more than crumbs. You are not an emotional prop. You are a whole human being, worthy of love and respect. And so, you start to dig deep. Vulnerability is not weakness, but an invitation to true connection. You realize that pain is not the enemy, but part of the necessary process. The one that helps complete the cycle. Grief is part of healing. The process of letting go is inevitable. So you head towards the unknown. Each step is not just a departure from the old, but an approach to all that can still be. Silently, you say goodbye to what no longer serves you. It is not an act of revenge, but of self-affirmation. The little things start to gain meaning again. Looking out the window, you see life go on. You begin to recognize the faces around you. People who could be allies in your quest for freedom. Interactions become lighter, more honest. You start conversations without the shadow of the past, and with this, you realize there are other stories to be written, the ones that make you dream again. Each new encounter, each new friendship, is a brick in the construction of a new reality. You become aware that you are not alone. You rediscover the passion you thought you had lost. Rediscover hobbies, interests, and even the simple pleasure of being in your own company. Life returns to its essence, and everything that seemed a burden starts to turn into wings. The abyss you feared is not the end, but the beginning of a new horizon. The echoes of the past become softer, and hope becomes a constant companion. Now, it is not based on unrealistic expectations, but on tangible possibilities. You are not a victim of circumstance, but the protagonist of your own story. The reality has already been presented. And finally, you understand that the freedom to live fully is your right. You can claim your space. The chains have been broken, and the light that shines within you will no longer be dimmed. Now, the choice is yours, and that decision changes everything.